we are going to talk about courage and finding the courage as an entrepreneur. And I am hoping that you can hear me. I'm looking at myself on the screen in the Women Helping Women on Facebook, and I'm frozen. So I'm hoping that you can see and hear me. And yeah, I see a whole bunch of people joining. So thumbs up if you can hear me okay. I live in Anchorage, Alaska. My name is Tracy Rush Williams. My business is Alaska Tracy, and you're joining me in my office in the trees where we have a beautiful, it's about 14 degrees out. It was in the negative numbers. Please pop a comment where you are joining in from, and I will try to see. I'm doing this on my Zoom, so I'm going to pull up my phone too. It gets tricky for all of you that have done I see a thumbs up, Michaela, I see a thumbs up. For anyone who's done the Zoom live, it sure gets tricky. So I'm just going to pull up my phone here and go into the group and make sure that I can, there we go. See, and I'll look for comments. But like I said, it's tricky, right? New York, there we go. All right, I'm set. I'm shutting my phone down, putting it down. Michaela, I am originally from Western New York by Canada. My folks still live on the Niagara River. I don't know if you're by there or not. And I moved to Anchorage, Alaska from Orlando, Florida, a little over 24 years ago. And talk about courageous, right? So we're going to talk about vulnerability and being vulnerable. And who here has listened to any of Brene Brown's YouTube or podcasts on vulnerability, on courage? Anybody? Hands up. Anybody listen to Brene Brown, her talks on vulnerability and courage? So before I get a lot of my inspiration when I'm walking in the woods, and I walk in the woods every day here in Alaska, believe it or not. There's two dogs in my office right now. There's one on the floor over there and one in the doggy bed. And they really help to motivate me to get outside. And believe me, if I can walk outside in Anchorage, Alaska, anybody can do it. So I get a lot of my inspirations when I'm walking. And today, the inspiration came to me to talk about vulnerability because I was feeling really vulnerable today. I had a couple experiences today as an entrepreneur, and I was listening to that old tape. Can anybody feel this or know what I'm talking about? It's not an old tape. It's a little shitty committee that sits on my shoulder all the time. And it's always waiting for me to screw up. And it's always there to tell me negative things. And today that little negative, whatever it is sitting here that I always want to hit off, was really loud because I had a few experiences that made me feel really uncomfortable and really vulnerable. So as I was walking through the woods, I thought, I'm going to talk to you guys about vulnerability. I've been a business owner for almost 20 years. And believe me, I have had my fair share experiences of feeling raw, feeling naked, right? Feeling vulnerable. And Michaela says, yes, absolutely. Right? Okay. So I pulled up when I got home vulnerability. I looked up the definition and it says the quality or state of being exposed. The quality or state of being exposed. And I was like, the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or hated. And I thought, wow, that's pretty severe, right? So then I went down and I looked and it says vulnerability, willingness to show emotion or to allow one's weaknesses to be seen or known, willingness to risk being hurt or attacked. Can anybody relate to that? Vulnerability, willingness to show emotion or to allow one's weakness to be seen or known, willingness to risk being hurt or attacked. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we are always putting ourselves out there. We are always taking that courageous step, that step to courage. And I don't know about you guys, but in the beginning for me as a business owner, I was super vulnerable all the time. I was young, I was 31 years old, and I'm trying to follow the comments here too. Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining. Linda, where are you joining in from today? Please comment where you're joining in from. We're talking about vulnerability. So I was in corporate America. I was making a pile of money, and I had decided to shift and become an entrepreneur. I had no idea what that looked like. I went to a career counselor and I came back and started creating a plan. I knew it was going to be with animals. That was my first business way back in 2001. And it was a mobile dog business, and it was here in Anchorage, Alaska. It actually still is here in Alaska and runs around. And way back then, when I started that business plan, I was listening to not only the negative chatter that sits here on my shoulder telling me nasty things, but people and family that were kiboshing my idea. Can you relate to that? Has anybody had that experience? You have this dream, you have this vision, you have this idea, and then people start going, what the heck are you doing? Why would you do that? Right? Well, guess what? It's their fear, right? It's their fear. So I had all these people saying, why would you leave making that kind of money? Why would you do that? You're going to go wash dirty dogs? What the heck's wrong with you? Why would you do? And I felt totally vulnerable. I felt totally exposed. I felt all sorts of emotions and rawness and like it talks about there. It talks about the willingness to show emotion or to allow my weaknesses to be seen or known, right? And guess what? I found tools way back then that I still use today that work to combat that vulnerability, to turn that vulnerability into courage. And courage allows us to do all sorts of amazing, wonderful things, right? Like click the live button. I've been doing the lives for years and I'm still terrified before I hit that live button. And I've recently switched back into Kajabi or into, I'm sorry, Zoom. So there's a delay and there's a chance that it's not going to work, right? The chatter. So as an entrepreneur, we are always putting ourselves out there. We are always stepping into the courage lane. And oftentimes it's tricky and it can be lonely. So I'm going to share 3 tools with you that have worked for me throughout this whole entrepreneur career of mine, 20 plus years, that have helped me turn those vulnerable moments, those vulnerable days into courage and to keep moving forward. And I'm in my 3rd business and I've had a lot of vulnerable moments. So the first thing that really helps me to find courage, to move beyond vulnerability. Because if I stay in vulnerability, it turns into fear, and fear does all sorts of crazy to me. I don't know about you guys, but to me, fear does all sorts of crazy. It keeps me stuck. It keeps me isolated. It does all sorts of negative things, where courage gives me freedom. So the first thing that I've learned to do is to dig deep within, to find our heart center, right? How do we do that? How do we find, we always hear, lead with your heart, how do you do that? 22 plus years ago, I was able to crash and burn and get sober and start leading a sober lifestyle. And one of the tools that I learned when I got sober was meditation. It was about sitting still and listening. I had never sat still. I was 32 years old. I had never sat still. I was always running from something and always running to something. And I was never listening to the inner voice. And so the first thing that I learned way back then, almost 23 years ago now, was to meditate. And what meditation does, it allows us to connect our hearts to our heads so that we're not running around in our heads all the time, leading with our heads, that we can actually tap into our hearts and let our hearts be the guide. So we can tap into our hearts and we can lead with our hearts. So who meditates? Hands up, who meditates? Who out there is a meditator? I meditate silently, and I also meditate to guided meditations. And I do meditation in my coaching practice. I'm a certified master executive life coach. And before we begin our sessions, I do a meditation. So meditation allows you to be still and to watch those crazy thoughts coming at us, because they're always going to be there, right? They're always going to be coming in, and to sort of soften those thoughts. And I like to say, not take them shopping. Like, think about when you go in the grocery store and you're starving. Michaela, you love to meditate, and you do both. You do guided and you do quiet. Good for you. How long have you been doing it? How long have you been meditating? So I like to think about it as when I'm in the grocery store and I have a hungry stomach and I'm seeing things on the shelf, and maybe I'm throwing things in the cart, and then I get to the checkout and I'm like, holy crap, why did I throw all this stuff in the cart? It's right. And that's meditation. The thoughts are coming at me. They're coming at you when you're sitting there meditating. They're loud. They're coming at you. And instead of throwing them in your grocery cart, you can almost look at them and smile, acknowledge them, wave at them, and let them pass on by. You don't have to let them attach to you, stick to you, right? You can just kind of let them hit you and pass on by. Smile at them. Some of them make me laugh. So that's the first and foremost thing, is meditation. And I pray also. I pray for others. I pray to be of service to others daily. So I pray and meditate. That's the first tool. The second tool to invite courage into my life is to share really deep, scary thoughts that come and stick. Okay, so they're the ones that the meditation, I'm done meditating and there's still one stuck on me, and it wants to take me down. How do you get rid of it? The second tool I've learned is to share that scary thing with another person, with a trusted person. And Michaela says she's been meditating almost 2 years. Good for you. One of my favorite ladies to meditate with is Tara Brach, TaraBrach. And Tara has she just had might still be doing a live right now, a live Facebook meditation every Wednesday afternoon from, 3:00 Alaska time, which would be 4:00 Pacific time. And it's wonderful. And she was one of the very first people that I learned to meditate with. And then it morphed into yoga and other ways to meditate. So a trusted person, if you can find a trusted close mouth person that you can run some really scary things by, and they're not going to judge you. They're going to keep it to themselves. They are going to be you're confident. That is so important. And that's been the second ingredient for me to find courage and to share with other people to help them find courage. Good, Michaela. Yes, look Tara Brock up. She is amazing, just amazing. So that's the second thing. Find a trusted person that you can filter things through, that those scary, dark thoughts that you can't get rid of. Somebody that you can share those things with. That has been very helpful in my life in the last 20, almost 3 years. And then the third thing, which is really, really important, is a support system. Like-minded people like yourself that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can talk about struggles, that you can talk about challenges. Maybe you don't share as deeply as you do with that one trusted person, but a group of like-minded souls that you get to know over time and that you can grow with, you can lift each other up and you can help each other. That has been really instrumental in my business. When I morphed into this last business that I'm in, which is, my business is called Alaska Tracy. And it was a social media consulting business, and then it turned into strictly consulting. I would work with people, taking them through a vision mapping framework. So I would work with companies and individuals to help them create this plan, this really detailed, intentional plan. And we would get to the end and they'd have this nice shiny vision map leading to their goals and their dreams and their desires with all these actions on it. And a lot of times I wouldn't hear from them. I wouldn't hear their successes. I wouldn't hear that they completed it. And I felt like I was missing a piece. And the piece that I was missing was adding that support system for them. And so I created a membership, a women's membership called Visions to Profits, women's membership community. And it's a community of like-minded women in business that come together. And so they all create their vision map, their plan. They do it quarterly, and then they get together every single week. And the calls are really quick, weekly. And they talk about, that's my dog, and they talk about an obstacle that they're having, a struggle, an obstacle, a success that they had, and then one task that they will accomplish for the week. And then we do group coaching. There's all sorts of other things that they get involved with the membership as well. But that one piece has been really amazing to watch the women every week talk about obstacles. And they always ask me mine too. So it helps me to share my vulnerability with them, to share my vulnerability, to open up and to share, and to hear them share their vulnerabilities. And somebody might be struggling one week and the next week they're not, or somebody might be struggling and another woman has had that same struggle and they can share how they got through it. So some sort of a support system that you can find, that whether it's my Visions to Profits women's membership community or a mastermind group, some community that you can lean into and bounce ideas off and be very vulnerable with. That has been instrumental in growing all my businesses. And what I found over the years is, if I don't have that one trusted person, which I've kind of always had that one trusted person in 20 plus years, but if I stop sharing, or if I pull away, if I don't have a group, a support group, I feel myself spiraling. And that vulnerability, back to the vulnerability, being vulnerable, those feelings start to pile up. They start to pile up because there's nobody to talk to about them. There's no way to release them. So it's important as a business owner to have these things lined up so that we can walk through all sorts of challenges and that we can show up and we can show our emotion, and we can be real, and we can be authentic. And I'm looking at the definition again: willingness to show emotion or to allow one's weaknesses to be seen or known. That's being a business owner, an authentic business owner. The willingness to show emotion or to allow one's weaknesses to be seen or known. The willingness to risk being hurt or attacked. That's showing up and being a business owner and walking through it and holding our heads high, being courageous. So who has any of those systems in place? I know Michaela, she's doing meditation. Anybody else? When I started that first business that I was sharing about, that dog wash business, I was sitting at a boardroom meeting, and I worked closely with the executive director. I was a development director, and he shared with all of the board members. I'll never forget this. He looked at all of them and he said, "Tracy's leaving us. She's going to wash dirty dogs." And I felt like crawling under the table. Really, that's what I felt like. I felt like, oh my gosh, what am I doing leaving corporate America to jump off on my own and to start a business? What if I fail? What if, right? All my vulnerabilities came out really loud, really strong. And because I was praying, I was meditating, I was talking to a trusted person, I was sharing all these fears and cruddy thoughts that were running through my head with, and I had a support system that I could lean into, that I could talk to, and they could share their experiences. I was able to walk through that. I was able to start that business, and guess what? Most of those board members became my clients. And a few of them have continued with me throughout 3 businesses to where I'm at currently. It's because I had the courage to walk through the vulnerabilities and not let the vulnerabilities hold me back and turn into fear. And I believe we all have that inside of us. And I think it's so important to share with other women in business these tools, because my goal in life is to help as many women as possible to create thriving lives that they love, that they're passionate about. And I see women that come together in small communities and they share on a regular basis. I see the growth opportunities happen, and it makes my heart just like bounce out of my chest. I mean, to hear a group of women coming together, sharing on a weekly basis, staying accountable, and able to grow beautiful businesses and beautiful lives, it is a wonderful thing. So I would encourage all of you to, you're welcome to reach out to me. This is where I get to talk a little bit about my business. You can find me alaskatracy.com or Google me. I've got also, if because you don't really know who I am, a lot of you, you can join my free Facebook group. It's called Women's Success Community. I would love to have you there and get to know a little bit about each other. I also have a group coaching coming up, and that's coming up next Wednesday afternoon. I do that once a month, and it is offered through the membership, Visions to Profits Women's Membership Community, and it's offered to women outside the community as well. And it's a great way to experience coaching, what coaching is all about. I used to think that coaching was about giving a lot of advice. Michaela, it's called the Women's Success Community. I'm going to type it in here if I can. women's success. Oh, it's not going to let me type it in there. Women's success community. Oh, it might. I'm typing. Nope, it's not going to. Women's success community. Maybe because I have an apostrophe S. There it is. Okay. I'm tagging it. There you go. Women's success community. So I have the group coaching coming up next week. I offer it for $47, and it's a great way to experience coaching. I used to think coaching was all about giving advice, telling you what to do, like my swim coach, right? My swim coach used to yell and tell me what to do. And what I've learned is that coaching, executive and life coaching, is about helping you to find your inner peace, your answers, your results. And so I'm loving the coaching aspect. So you can always do a free discovery call with me. If you go to my website, alaskatracy.com, you'll see a link up top. It says book your free discovery call. And I would love to have a conversation with you so that I can tell you what my style is. I'm a member of the International Coaching Federation, and I adhere to a code of ethics, and I take it really seriously. So my goal is to listen and to ask really detailed questions to help you find your pathway to success. And then another way is to join the Visions to Profits Women's Membership Community. And that's on my website as well. So any way you want to reach out to me, my motto is serve others, be the light. And so I love to have conversations to help people to move forward. If I'm not the right fit for you, perhaps I know somebody that is. And yeah, that's my goal. I get to live in this amazing place, Anchorage, Alaska, where we are gaining almost 6 minutes of daylight every day now. We're amping up. June 21st will be light almost around the clock. It's the most extreme place I've ever lived. From New York to, I lived up and down the East Coast to Florida to Anchorage, Alaska, and it is an amazing place. Anytime we can do actions, we can take actions to move forward, whether it's walking, running, going down our list every day, checking things off our tasks, anything that we can do to move forward in business and life is courageous. And it will help to quiet any fears, any vulnerabilities that you may have that may keep you stuck. Because when we're living in fear, we're shutting out the sunlight of the spirit, right? We're not able to move forward. And so if we're sitting in fear and we're taking actions, forward moving actions, you will become courageous. And things will start appearing in your life, in your business. Beautiful, amazing things. Forward movement allows opportunities, allows us to be present for others. I hope that this has been helpful to you, Michaela. It was great that you were here live. I'm hoping Linda is still here live, and I appreciate all of you watching the replay. Please feel free to download your 5 tools for the balance beam of life up above. Contact me if I can be of help to any of you. And I thank you so very much for joining in today. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day. Until we meet again, take care. Bye.